Keebfront Bigwig might just be the best long pole linear we've seen on this channel. The Bigwig is second in line of Keebfront's Villainy series, and it's the second to use HDPE, or high density polyethylene, for the top housing. If you've watched my review of the Doom Tactiles, you know that HDPE leads to a deep sound signature on the return. On a side note, the Doom Linear review is coming soon, so make sure you subscribe to check that out. Another unique feature of the Bigwig is the bottom housing, which is made of PBT-LB, or please bless the like button. Oh my god. Now we're all familiar with PBT as a popular keycap material due to a sound signature that's deeper than ABS. However, PBT as a housing material has never really caught on, likely due to one word: shrinkage. As anyone with a banana spacebar can tell you, PBT can be tricky to work with because it has a tendency to shrink as it cools. As a result, it's rare enough that in all my Googling, I could only find two switches that used a PBT housing: the Moyu Black, made by Everglide, and the Peacock Blue, which is its linear cousin. Let me know in the comments if you'd come across any other PBT switches, and let me know if you'd like to see a review of the Moyu Blacks or the Peacock Blues. The PBT housing, along with a two-stage 67-gram spring in the Bigwigs, leads to a really poppy bottom out, and I've really enjoyed the Bigwigs in my testing. Here's a quick stock typing test. I've decided to change the format of the sound tests because I noticed my awesome wife skips past after just a few seconds, like most of you do based on my YouTube analytics. But let me know if you'd like a longer test as a separate video. After some testing, I decided not to include a full typing test after lubing and filming the switches because the factory lube job was perfectly consistent. I've been told that Meiroon hand lubes the switches with DuPont 205, which is essentially the same as Krytox 205. It looks slightly thicker than 205 G0, so I guess it's a grade 1 or a grade 2. But overall, the lube was consistently applied on the bottom housing rails and all four sides of the stem. I didn't find the need to lube the springs either, as there was no ping in any of the handful of the stock switches I tested. For my mods, I lubed the top housings and filmed with desk key films. Here's a sound test comparison after the mods, along with some other long pole linears. I have to say, I really enjoyed the Bigwigs, and they're available to pre-order from Keebfront now. Check out the link in the description below. Now it's time for the good, the bad, and the ugly. First, the good. These switches are an amazing experience right out of the box. There's basically no stem wobble, and the switches have no chatter, ping, or noise, which speaks volumes about the quality control, the mold tolerances, and the factory lube. Normally, I'd probably put factory lube as an ugly because I prefer to hand lube my own switches. However, the Bigwigs get it right in two ways: the type of lube and in the application itself. Normally, factory lube is a thin oil that looks like it's wiped or sprayed onto the bottom housing rails and stem sliders, and I found that it doesn't do much for that nice, deep lubed switch sound. Also, a lot of factory lube jobs are inconsistent. The Bigwigs, however, are hand lubed with DuPont 205, which is essentially Krytox 205, and they lube the bottom housings as well as all four contact points on the stem. I do normally lube the top housings as well, but the HDPE top does a good job with absorbing the transient rattle that it's not strictly necessary in these switches. So big plus from Meiroon and Keebfront here. Another objective good is the price. If you use code MAKER at checkout, the Bigwigs come to 62 cents per switch, and unlike most other switch options on the market, these require no modding. I think it's safe to say that the time and money saved on these over some other long pole linear options make this a clear frontrunner that you should consider if you enjoy the sound signature. However, there is one bad that you need to keep in mind if you're going to pick up the Bigwigs, and that is the top housing. HDPE is a great material, and I love the way that it brings out the lower tones in the switch's acoustics. However, HDPE is also a very soft material, and you need to be careful when inserting the switches into a plate, because the legs can get stuck and bend out of shape as you open up the switch. An easy fix for this is to compress the top housing legs before you reseat the top housing onto the switch, and make sure all four legs are going into your plate evenly as you insert the switch into the plate. It's not a deal breaker by any means, but it's definitely something to be aware of if you use them in your own build. And it's not the end of the world if a switch leg gets fully bent, as the the HDPE is extremely malleable. Think shampoo bottles and milk jugs, which can be squeezed and deformed, but revert back to their original shape. Now for the ugly. If there's one thing that I would change about the Bigwigs, it would be the springs. Maybe I've gotten used to typing on 60-gram springs, but the Bigwig 67-gram is a tad too heavy for me. If possible, I'd like to see the switches come in different spring weight options, but I'm really nitpicking here. Overall, you really can't go wrong with the Bigwigs, and Keebfront has continued to put out bangers at a great price point. That being said, I'm super excited to announce that I'll be working with Keebfront to develop my own custom mechanical keyboard switch. We're very much in the planning stages, but subscribe to the channel if you want to get updates via community posts here on YouTube what that process looks like. I like you, I'm MakerMods, and I'll catch you in the next video.